My girlfriend is mad at me for crying over a video game girl, but I feel like this is a normal experience for people who play this game, and I feel like breaking up with her because even my family is calling me childish now and my friends are laughing at me. Hey Reddit, this is a throwaway because I want to get as close to an unbiased opinion as I can get, and lots of people involved in this story follow me on my main Reddit account. As a young adult growing up during the quarantine era, I, 23M, got really into video games, as did most of the people I hung out with at the time. I got used to playing video games as a way to relax and connect with other people during my downtime. Only recently did I start playing single-player games as a means of entertainment, well past the prime years for gaming. My girlfriend, 23F, is really chill. She's super down to earth, and for the most part, she's always put a lot of effort into understanding me. I'm a pretty social person who dealt with putting up masks to get a quick laugh from people, and so I felt really isolated for a while. When I met my girlfriend, she really put in a lot of effort to get past those walls and see me for who I truly was. Cut to 3 years later, and this is the biggest fight I think we've ever had. I recently finished Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, after playing through the remake just a few months ago. I won't spoil it for anyone here, but that game gets really emotional towards the latter half. Now, I've never been a sappy person or one to cry at movies, and I think this is the biggest reason my girlfriend has been having issues with my behavior. I was cooking dinner for the two of us when the main theme, Sector 7 theme from the first game, for those who are curious, came on. Now, this is a relatively slow song, with a lot of strings and feelings woven into the melodies, or at least, for me, it is. I don't really know what came over me, but I started to get teary-eyed while listening to it, thinking about some of the characters and the events of the game. I don't think there's really been a piece of media that has affected me in this kind of way, but I found myself particularly saddened at that moment by the narrative of the game. So, my girlfriend obviously noticed this and realized that I was crying and immediately grew concerned. When I told her it was nothing, she kept pushing. I thought the reason I was crying was pretty stupid too, so I kind of lied in hopes of diverting the subject. I just told her it was from the onions I was cutting earlier, they were shallots, but close enough, and left it at that. Well, apparently I was very quietly sobbing or something, because she called BS a few minutes later. She started getting upset, thinking that I had done something like be unfaithful to her, and so rather than be caught in another lie, I just told her the truth. Unfortunately, this just made her more upset. She was going on and on about how I was so immature for letting a video game girl remain in my thoughts weeks after I finished playing the game. She said she was upset that I was replacing my mental headspace with a misogynistic dream girl that she thinks I believe is a better version of her. The girl from the game does look very similar to my girlfriend, I must admit, but that just shows you how pretty my girlfriend is. Regardless, I tried telling her that the actual narrative of the game was, frankly, ingenious, and how the song was just a trigger. It's not the girl herself that's making me cry, it's the narrative that she's involved in. Also, it's an emotional song. Like, without knowing what happens in the game, I feel like I could be sad to a song like this. Anyways, she wasn't having it, and she made me sleep on the couch that night. And then the night after, and the night after that. I'm starting to get really mad, and I admit, I was getting frustrated with her for treating me poorly because I became emotional over a game. I'm frustrated that I discovered something that moved me like no other game or movie has ever done before, and for some reason, I'm being punished for showing my emotions in front of my own partner. I asked my mom for some advice, since I'm thinking of breaking up with her for treating me like this over some little disagreement, but after explaining the situation from both sides, she sided with my girlfriend. Now I have my direct family calling me childish, and all my friends are making fun of me for being into 2D girls. I'm literally not into her. By the way, if you played this game, you would understand what I'm talking about. Since nobody in my community has really played single-player games, I feel like I'm talking to a bunch of people who just aren't going to understand what I'm saying here. I'm getting a lot of anime waifu comments from my girlfriend's friends, and overall, I'm becoming more and more done with this situation. I really love my girlfriend, a lot, but this simple misunderstanding is tearing our relationship apart. I'm trying to communicate not only my own feelings but also how she might be taking this situation a bit farther than it reasonably needs to. So, Reddit, I need your advice. Do I cut my losses and break it off over something as stupid as this? I kind of don't want to let a fake girl tear my relationship apart, that just feels dumb. Am I being immature? I want her to understand, but I feel as though she's not listening to me. If I don't break it off, how do you think I go about amending this? I just want some honest advice. And here's to hoping my girlfriend and her friends don't find this story and make even more fun of me. /relevant comments. Commenter. Look, if I was reading a novel and I cried, I don't think anyone would criticize me. Commenter 2. I'd never think anything of someone crying while reading, but if I walked into the kitchen and found my husband sobbing over a book he read days ago, I would be pretty taken aback and would start to worry that maybe something else was going on with him that I wasn't seeing. However, the girlfriend's subsequent reaction is unhinged. Ops response. I think this is what's freaking her out the most. I'm not usually an emotional person. I think I've cried in front of my girlfriend, like, twice. I think she's suspecting that more is going on than what I'm telling her because, in her eyes, this is out of character for me. But in reality, I just haven't experienced stuff like this before. Commenter 3. Not only did your GF read the situation with extreme bad faith and lack of empathy, she turned to her friends to make fun of you and shame you. That is not what a loving and respectful person does in a disagreement. Is that something you are okay with in a relationship? You're not having issues because of 2D girls, you are having issues because of her behavior. She built her own narrative and is refusing to see your point of view over something completely harmless and low stakes. What happens when you build your future together and have to discuss heavier things? Also, I know that despite the popularity of gaming, there still exists a lot of people who do not understand the medium. But are stories not a universal concept? Do they not experience TV series, movies, and books and empathize with the characters and their journey? Does no one in your or your GF circles play video games? Sounds incredibly weird. Ops response. She doesn't have any guy friends, since to her, guys and girls just can't be friends or whatever. There's one friend who is on my side though, keeps telling me that I have to show her that games are just as powerful as movies. Unfortunately, this friend is also really into anime and cosplaying, which, for some unexplainable reason, puts her beneath everyone else in their friend group's eyes. Update 2 days later. I didn't get much sleep last night, mostly due to the third night on the couch and overall being really frustrated with how I've been treated the past couple of days, but when my girlfriend got up this morning, she had a different energy. It was much earlier than she needed to be up, and she invited me back into the bedroom to rest, saying we could talk later if I was up for it. I just told her we should talk now, since rest would be hard with this heavy burden on my mind. Well, she apologized. Immediately, she told me how awful she felt for treating me like a cheating boyfriend and that she had been acting rash and childish out of fear that I had been falling out of love with her. I was still a little peeved, but I put my anger aside for a while and told her that, yes, she had totally been treating me unfairly for the past couple of days. She didn't defend herself very much and started explaining her sudden change of heart. This silly argument has been going on since Wednesday night, and in all the free time she's had away from me, she had naturally been telling her friends and family. My girlfriend is very close with my mother, so she gave her a lot of detail about the whole situation, including the details about the fake girl that had supposedly captured my eye. Well, her mother told the rest of her family, including my girlfriend's father and, most importantly, her younger brother. Now, as I've noticed from the comments on my previous post, my reaction to this song and this character is far from unusual and seems to be a much more common experience among the gamers who have experienced FF7. Her brother, quickly catching on to the situation at hand, called my girlfriend and started explaining the situation to her. While I was writing my previous post, her younger brother had been coming to bat for me, trying to justify that it truly was just the narrative that had brought me to tears. Either way, I wasn't bawling my eyes out. My eyes were watery, and then there were a few tears and a couple of sniffles. Seems like some people thought it had sent me into a weird episode. Regardless, my girlfriend started to doubt herself and did some research online. Well, fans of FF7 are quite prolific. So much online discourse about this one game had proven my feelings valid enough for my girlfriend, and she had a change of heart sometime overnight. I asked her if there was something I had done to make her so insecure about our relationship, as some commenters suggested, but she brushed it off and told me that she was just anxious because many of her friends were getting cheated on recently, and she was worried that I was growing distant. After a bit of talking, we came to an understanding that I was simply getting more comfortable, and as the time between my lovey-dovey moments was increasing, she was worried that I was drifting away or possibly falling for another woman. I'm quite glad that this conversation is happening now rather than later, and now I think we've moved past it. We compromised, and she promised that if she ever had a problem with my behavior again, she would communicate more directly with me, as well as treat me more like a human being. She also said she wouldn't mind trying to play a game with me, as she was interested in what she read earlier about one FF7 game. It seems the comments have also left many suggestions for games to try out. I appreciate all your messages, and perhaps both myself and the commenters were being harsh last night. I think this is the best things could have turned out. Also, she brought me a basket full of different yellow flowers with takeout tonight, and I almost cried again, haha. Anyways, perhaps that wasn't the ending you guys were rooting for, but I'm glad that this is finally over, and my relationship with my girlfriend is still solid, and I have a bed to sleep in tonight. Thank you for all your advice, I appreciate it all. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Honestly man, I'm glad this situation worked out, but you have to subtract the details and focus on the fundamental problem here. She saw you crying, badgered you to explain why, completely invalidated your perspective and reasoning, made fun of you to her friends, mom, and thankfully her brother, because he was able to explain your actions to her. But the resolution I'm seeing here is focusing on her finding out games can cause you to have feelings instead of her feeling bad for how she handled a vulnerable moment from you. Like, that crap could have been about anything. I know she addressed that, but her apology really seemed to focus on how she misinterpreted your reaction instead of focusing on the actual problem of I ridiculed you for something you got upset about. Dunno, honestly hope she shows some growth here, brother. You deserved a better reaction than what you got, full stop.